Welcome to Remembering You, a space for slowing down, seeing again, and gathering the parts of yourself that the world asked you to forget.
Each week, we wander through stories, ancient, personal, and collective, to explore how perspective changes everything. How what we look at and how we look can open doors to who we truly are.
Take a breath, feel your feet.
You've arrived.
Let's begin remembering you.
The etymology of forgiveness. It's an English word, and it comes from the Old English. For is completely or thoroughly, and giveness is going to be to give. So it is a complete or entire giving of oneself to forgive.
I remember when I was watching Vervaeke's Awakening from the Meaning series, Awakening from the Meaning Crisis series on YouTube last winter. He was talking about Jesus's teachings around forgiveness. And I mean, one, just how radical that was at the time. I mean, quite frankly, it still is. But the to give before, in a sense, like though he had I forget so you're saying like with and complete. And I think he was saying something like to do it before before they've earned it, before they have any right to it, so to say.
It's not transactional.
No, right. Yeah, that's a great way to put that. Yes.
In the Greek, the idea is to release. So make a fist and then slowly open that fist. And that is the action of forgiveness, letting go, liberation, sending away.
And kind of letting go of the hurt or the resentment or the pain or the whatever, judgment. Yeah.
Welcome back, friends, to Remembering You.
Hi, all.
Thanks for joining us.
So we have a wild secret to share, and that is, despite what you hear and feel on this podcast, it is not always roses and la la land in the Schmidt household.
We trigger each other sometimes.
Oh boy.
And sometimes we don't even know why or what. And that is the essence of a trigger. And both of us will just kind of do a flip.
Should we maybe say what our flips are like?
Sure.
Like what does this actually look and feel like if somebody were observing or kind of in our space with us when that's happening?
So neither of us are yellers.
Yeah.
Which is good.
Yeah.
Because I would not be able to
we would not be together if I was a yeller and vice versa.
Nope.
Yeah, no, hard no.
Nope.
Yeah.
There is my experience is it is very disorienting for my inner world and outer world does not make any sense.
It's like everything gets, like you can't orient.
You used a metaphor recently of shaking up a glass of water and dirt.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the crystal clear gets really muddy, murky, cloudy.
It's like that. Yeah.
And both of us get real quiet.
Very like shut down, withdraw, hide.
There is an incredible amount of energy with my attentional system trying to see through and to understand what is going on and trying to make sense.
Yeah. Yep.
And it happens rarely, but when it does happen,
it's intense.
It's not. So with this most recent podcast that we recorded on polarity, it's important, I think, for us to follow up that topic with what the experience of polarity exploding or going atomic.
When the polarity maybe gets a little too intense and we get kind of ungrounded and decentered and things get confusing. Yeah, reactive.
Most of our stuff, there's not a whole lot of edges or catches or little burrs in our experience. Like there's a cleanness to our doing life together that is beautiful and evidence of the work that has been done over a lot of years. And there still is the reality that I am seeing life from a particular perspective and you're seeing life from a particular perspective. And sometimes those perspectives might not be on the same planet.
Yeah, there's that. There's that reason for for being a little triggered and overwhelmed. Yeah. Sometimes it's almost like the intensity of my childhood experiences, like I think it's important to maybe highlight the way as kids when we didn't have, like we just didn't have, like our brain wasn't developed. We didn't have the cognitive understanding. Our neurobiology was still like very much undergoing its genesis and unfolding.
No consent, no power,
right?
No control.
No. And so
I'm not saying victim. I am just naming what is true in the child's experience.
And so things get really intense in ways that for an adult, you know, it would just seem like not a big deal, just another day or just a, you know, like, what are you crying about? Like, it's just your lunch and I'm sorry you don't like what I put in front of you. You know, like it can just be the most mundane kinds of things. And I very often when I feel you experience your trigger and your energetic, like I can feel the inward whoosh. It's like everything just gets sucked inwards, and I can feel you withdraw, and I can also feel your lack of clarity, because normally you are super clear and super grounded, and
I also fill the room energetically.
Yeah, right. And so then if you withdraw, then suddenly it's like I'm floating in the middle of nowhere. Like, what has just happened? I have a very similar, I withdraw and I turn inward too, and everything gets very confusing and hazy and fuzzy. And I also have a derealization experience where nothing feels real. Like I don't feel real. The walls around me, it's hard to put into words.
It's a form of disassociation.
Yeah, it is. Mm-hmm. It's a dissociate. Mm-hmm. Like I think that's that's just, it was a brilliant strategy as a kid. It kept me alive. You know, it helped me. It's just like, that's all you can do when things get too big and too overwhelming. So then it's interesting. When I was brushing my teeth this morning, I was thinking about, well, what was my experience of repair after a rupture in like maybe my relationship with my mom, or what did I witness between my parents? Like what was modeled for me? And nothing was ever handled explicitly aside from like the punishment piece from, 99% of the time it was coming from my mom. And there was yelling, and there was like, you know, condemnation, and here, you know, you're either grounded, or here's your spanking, or go sit in the corner, or you don't get to read your books today, or whatever the punishment was. And it was like there was a lot of like vitriol, and she didn't swear, but I was bad. And then it would be like, I think for her, that was cathartic. So like that was her release. That was how she found her ground again. But then I'm just left with this huge, yucky, and now and then of course as a kid, like you believe, you swallow every single word that your parents say. Like you can't rationally think about it because like literally your brain, reliably it can't do that until about the age of 12. And so it was just, I am bad. And so whether or not you want to believe that is just what happens. And then I would feel really, really terrible probably for the whole rest of the day. And then you go to sleep at night and it was kind of my nervous system reset. And then I would wake up the next day and it was like, nothing had ever happened. And so I had never experienced true repair in my relationships. Like I just, it was, I never heard my mom apologize to me. Because I'm sure she never thought she had a reason to. Anyway, so I'm naming that like this is a new skill that I have had to learn in the last like maybe 7 years, and it's still really hard.
Well put. Yeah, what is your early childhood patterning around forgiveness?
Yeah.
Mine is complicated in regards with the spiritual aspect of so Romans 3 says, for all have sinned and fallen short of glory of God. And so anything that I did that was bad or hurt someone was equated with sin.
Sure.
And so I was receiving discipline from my parents, and 99% of the time it was corporal. And it was to address the sin. So having sin consciousness like reinforced over and over and over again, it was making a really deep path of I am forever lost in my experience. And normally as a child, we don't get in trouble for the things, well, unless you're a rebel and you like are evil at the core of who you are and you just want to do evil all the time, which is no child. No. Children do things pure because they're playing and they're exploring and they're trying to figure things out, and things happen. It's not because they woke up that morning and thought, okay, I want to mess with mom and dad every way, shape, and form. And so there was a little bit of that as well of, the reason this happened, I was conditioned to believe that the reason that I had sinned or had done something that was against the rules was because I was only capable of doing that, or somehow I was looking for that. And so that's just a negative, toxic way of looking at ourselves and the lack of perfection. And then that's the other thing that came into play is that there was this almost unattainable standard of measurement of how I needed to perform, and I was never able to, and then adding in the God piece from my religion was even more complicated and toxic. And so, forgiveness. I do remember in my early 20s, my dad apologizing to me for something that had happened. And that was a big deal. I remember my mom, probably in my teens as well, apologizing for something that had happened. And, that sense of, I already knew that my parents were not infallible because I grew up with them.
Sure.
So there was a pattern that was being laid down of it's okay to say I messed up and to ask for forgiveness. I think the piece that made it more complicated in my adult life was trying to always be perfect and always have it together and always do everything right. And so there would be a push and a pull and a cling and a grab to trying to fight anything and everything that would be viewed as an offense that was worthy of seeking forgiveness.
Did that make it hard to then to say you're sorry when you needed to?
So there was an understanding as well that God ultimately had forgiven us. And so if I confess my sins, he is faithful and just to forgive us our sins and to cleanse us from all unrighteousness. And so there was almost a back and forth. Sometimes I felt like I was doing the right thing and enough. And then other times I just felt like I can't get ahead of the game. And it's just back and forth. So there was also that fear of, okay, I disappointed my parents, and I also disappointed God. And then that ties into shame and goes into the shame spiral and that loop of I'm never good enough, even though my cosmology included atonement and forgiveness through the act of crucifixion of Christ. Complicated. So many different loops and and then I would hear things or I would read things of someone was pardoned by the president or their sentence was, what's the term?
Commuted.
Thank you. Their sentence was commuted. And it was like, well, why did somebody get it and someone not? Like, what was...
how do you decide?
Because there was a deep sense of justice in what is fair.
Yeah.
And sometimes saying, I forgive you after one of my siblings destroyed my Legos that I've been building and I yelled at them or pushed or hit, that didn't fix my Legos. That's not fair. Why did I get in trouble for yelling or pushing? Because I was the oldest who was always supposed to hold the keys to the kingdom and unlock the door to peace and tranquility. Oof.
Ouch. Ouch.
Forgiveness.
Well, so it sounds like it's not only about forgiving those who have transgressed, but also ourselves. Like the inward self-forgiveness piece. I imagine it's just super important and probably one of the hardest parts of forgiveness.
I think acceptance is a good word. And acceptance is not giving permission for bad behavior. Acceptance is, oh yeah, I did that. Or I said that. Or energetically, I was just totally off. And to be okay with saying that is true.
Yeah.
And it is also true that I value connection and I value belonging and I value openness and authenticity in my relationship. And so I am going to be a part of building a bridge so that there is that reconnection back. And that was some of the language that was used within the God context of sin has separated mankind from God, and so Jesus is the bridge that brings us back. And so some of my early childhood leanings and understanding of forgiveness was there's this huge gulf and separation, and what is going to heal or fix or bridge the connection between the divine and creation.
It's a big idea.
It's huge. And it's also scary because it can feel like forgiveness can feel like I'm giving away my power.
Oh. Yeah, so say more.
The energy that comes from being hurt or being slighted or being so the first impact when someone says something or does something against me is hurt or pain.
Yeah.
It's feeling a sense of not being respected, not being loved, not being cared for, not being seen, not being heard. There can be a whole gamut of experiences on the emotional level. And with that, we feel disempowered.
Mm-hmm.
And so once we find our sense of right and wrong or justice on our own behalf, that was wrong what they did, then we can enter into a place of, I was hurt, now I'm mad, or I'm angry,
Or resentful.
or I am bitter.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And I am not going to let go of this sense of feeling empowered, because if I do, I can get hurt again.
Mm-hmm.
But if I keep the person who hurt me at arm's length, then I am safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they can't do to me what I let them do to me because I was vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And so what we'll do is we'll keep drinking the poison of bitterness, hoping that they die.
Yeah, or hoping that somehow, I don't know,
teach them a lesson.
Brings a sense of like, okay, now things are okay again.
We had some of your good friends over for dinner last night, and in conversation, one of them apologized for something. Mm-hmm. And it was just a beautiful moment of seeing and accepting what happened, and also acknowledging that all of us together were not the same people that we were. And there has been so much change and growth, and there was just a beautiful moment of acceptance of one another in that offering of an apology and forgiveness, which
it's funny. It makes me cry.
is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah. I feel surprised in this moment. I didn't know that was in there.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Forgiveness wouldn't be hard if what happened didn't matter.
Yeah.
You know? And what happened mattered.
Oh my God.
In big ways.
Oh, I felt devastated. I was just so devastated.
Yeah.
And I know everybody was. So maybe just for a little context, I mean, I don't want to name any names. That's not appropriate. But in a matter of a year, I lost my daughter, then I lost my whole community. And like, it wasn't that I didn't love all of those humans. Like it was the weird, I think it's the only time in my life I've ever lost friendships and connections to people that I still deeply cared for. Mm-hmm. And I suppose that's probably why it's so painful. Mm-hmm. And so it was a surprise. I wasn't expecting that last night at all.
It wasn't our intention for dinner.
No. It
was actually our intention was to show love and acceptance and just kindness to people that have been an important part of our lives.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I suppose I recognize, like, I didn't have any need for an apology, but in receiving one and in feeling that, it's a signal. It's interesting how a lot of times I think forgiveness is more important for the person who is offering the apology than it is for the person who's receiving it. Sometimes, I mean, of course, it all depends on the context, but it cannot be understated how important it is for us as individuals to come to that place where we can offer that forgiveness, like, for our own well-being and for our own health and heart, and and obviously, you know, if we care about the other person in the relationship, I mean, that's part of it, but it's not just for the other person at all.
No, it literally does change the atmosphere around the person requesting forgiveness, and also the person who has the opportunity to receive and grant forgiveness.
What do you think about, like, I've received apologies and I've also given apologies where I wasn't actually sorry.
You were caught.
Well, it was like, because, so to be quite frankly, or to be quite honest, that was my experience of it as a child, was, you know, now you have to say you're sorry to your brother, as just this, almost like this empty act. And, you know, you can still feel their anger, and they're expected to do so immediately after it happens. Like, you need to say this thing to make them feel better, and now the situation is right. And it's like, yeah, but I'm still mad and hurt, and so are they, and nobody actually feels better. This is just theater. This is not real. So anyway, I guess I'm just naming that, and then I think it might be a helpful thing to explore. Like, how do we get to a place of genuine, like, I'm sorry, and this is a true heartfelt expression of where I'm at.
When I think about the people over the years that I have been with as they were nearing the end of their life, the word hospice brings a lot of things to people's experience. And one theme that I have witnessed over and over again is a desire to clear what needs to be cleared and seek forgiveness. And I have been with people who embrace that, and I've been with people who fought that and rejected that and buckled down on their bitterness and their anger. And I've also helped people make amends with some pretty horrific things that they needed to make right with people in their lives that they had done horrible things to. And I would say over and over again that it was not it wasn't some moralistic or religious reason. It was a heart reason. It was, I want to find peace within myself. And because that desire for peace was there, they were willing to go into a direction that was scary, uncertain. Like, they didn't know if they were going to be accepted, like the forgiveness. And I've been with some people when they've asked for forgiveness and were flat turned down. And their action of asking for forgiveness was for themselves, ultimately. And their loved one, like, they'll have to make a decision years probably down the road when they bump up against something that they did and they have to ask for forgiveness, and they're reminded of, oh, I haven't accepted the forgiveness that was offered to me, and need to follow that path before I can make a genuine and authentic request from somebody else to forgive me for my transgressions. So there is so much there. And I think it's important that we do recognize that forgiveness changes our experience when we seek forgiveness from someone. And in that change, it can shift so many other little pieces and parts of ourselves. But I have to be willing to put the power of my anger in a place where there is a balance between anger, which is power, and acceptance of forgiveness or offering forgiveness, which is vulnerable and vulnerability. And so there can be this dance between power and a new way of experiencing or seeing power.
Yeah. Yeah, like I imagine what we don't want to do is offer an apology as a form of collapse or shame. Oh my God, I'm such a terrible person. Could the groveling, kind of desperate, please give me your absolution so I can feel okay again. And that, that's not what anybody needs or wants either.
I would put a list together of things that forgiveness is not. Forgiveness is not excusing.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is not forgetting. Forgiveness is not bypassing. It's not necessarily reconciliation, and definitely not a collapse of boundaries. What would you add? What is forgiveness not?
Well, maybe I would frame it as a forgiveness that is maybe cheap or like not quite hitting the mark versus an authentic, genuine. And so forgiveness is not bypassing. It's not, either spiritual bypassing or emotional bypassing or whatever label you want to put on that. But it's not, let's just forget about all of this and I'm sorry, and it's all going to be fine. It's not avoiding the conflict. It's not trying to manage our image and making sure that, I'm doing and saying the right thing. It's not because we feel pressured either from family or friend, it's coming from within, not from an expectation from outside. And so maybe in a healthier context, it's, I have metabolized the harm maybe that I caused or that has happened between the two of us or the group. And I am taking accountability, and then there's a clear boundary sense and that there's not a imbalance of power. It's not like I'm apologizing because then that puts me in some kind of better position.
My spiritual ladder has been climbed yet once again.
Right.
I am at the top of my superiority.
Yeah.
Forgiveness is a grieving process.
Say more. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so it's giving myself permission to fully feel and experience what was not, and where I am today in my experience.
That can be really hard sometimes.
There's a lot of little paths in and out of between those little spaces of what I wish would have been and where things really are, and being okay with feeling what is true in between.
Yeah, I think in that it's, and I suppose, I keep talking about boundaries. I guess this is just it's my thing right now. But like when I reflect on when you and I are kind of in a rupture, it can be really hard for me to figure out what is my responsibility and what is yours, like what's mine and what's yours in this, whatever it is that we're experiencing. And like, is there something that I've genuinely done wrong or I'm not seeing clearly and I need to like take accountability for, or just hold in some kind of authentic way, versus, oh, Ryan's having a trigger. Like Ryan is reacting to something in his world. And yes, of course that can have an impact on me. Like it's just not fun. I don't enjoy it, but it's like not mine to hold, and it's not mine to take a risk. And so that for me continues to be a practice that is deepening. And I think, especially if, you know, if you haven't yet kind of gone through, like if you're not aware of what codependency is, so to say, or enmeshment, or like trauma reactivity, because trauma is just inherently very confusing and very disorienting and very like blendy of boundaries and power. And so anyway, I'm just that hearing you say, wait, actually, can you just repeat what
Grief.
Oh, a grief process. Yes.
Forgiveness is a grieving process.
Yeah. Yeah. It's hard. Not just because the feelings are uncomfortable. Like that, actually, I don't really have, that's not the hard part for me anymore. Like I'll feel whatever the feelings are all day long. Like I feel like I've got this ocean now that I can, you know, and I've got my arms wrapped around it. And it's like, okay, well, if there needs to be a tsunami right now, that's fine. But it's more, what is mine and what is yours? And what do I need to see clearly versus what do I need to just like let go and recognize that that is your space to navigate and not mine to. So anyway.
And that, I imagine, thank you for sharing that. I imagine that goes back to your childhood where everything was always your fault.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, of course. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, very much so.
What's interesting as children, when as a child, when I would feel my parents off or nervous energy, like I couldn't sit still. I mean, I already was a little boy and couldn't sit still.
Boys are always like bouncing off the walls, yeah.
But when I would walk into, as a child, into a room and there was tension in some form or fashion, like I couldn't sit still. I had to move. I was fidgety. I was acting out, and then to be punished for what, as a child, we're feeling, and really we're just an antenna for the radio signals that are around us. Like that is a part of that programming, I imagine, in your experience of everything is always my fault. And no agency, no control, no power. Forgiveness is also a moment for us to reclaim agency. I think when I am triggered or I am reacting to something that hurts or someone that's hurt me, I can find myself giving away my power in the way that I react.
Sure.
Like ultimately, I identify as the highest power in my life is love. And out of that love flows peace. And so if I am allowing someone, it doesn't mean that I'm not upset or angry or hurt or I'm not able to identify it or name it as this is wrong or this is not okay. But once I am able to identify it, then to respond instead of reaction. And that takes maturity, time, practice.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it's also maybe important to name that ruptures in relationships are completely normal.
And healthy.
Yeah, right.
And healthy.
Yes.
So my early childhood framework was, if I do something wrong, it means I am wrong.
Right. Yes.
So that was in my head.
Yeah, very much so.
But that wasn't my heart experience.
Oh, interesting.
So my heart experience was
lucky dog. Like there's this part of me that's just like, oh, that must have been nice. Anyway.
So with my childhood experience of having a connection with Jesus in my heart, there was a sense and a deep knowing that I was loved and I was okay and everything was well and all would be well.
That's so beautiful.
Even though in my mind I was trying to do all of these spiritual or religious gymnastics as to how everything fits together and what is true, it was still part of my experience that on the inside there is something good inside of me.
Oh, that's so beautiful. My belly feels warm. My heart feels, I'm just like, oh, God.
So forgiveness then became, for me, a spiritual practice.
Oh, sure.
Of going through the process of naming, this is not okay. And I feel a certain way about it. And when I am ready, I am willing to give what is best for me to give in that situation that equals forgiveness from my perspective.
What about, so sometimes would you say that, so I think maybe people can have the idea that if I've been given forgiveness or if I've given forgiveness to someone that has hurt me, then that means our relationship is, it's just everything's going to go back to the way it was and everything's going to be fine and hunky-dory. But what about the situations where maybe the harm keeps happening, like
abuse?
Or, abuse or violation of boundaries, or the behavior is not changing. And yes, I can forgive you, but now maybe I need to take some distance, or where having a healthy boundary means we're not going to be as close as we were. Like, is there anything about that you think we could tease apart or comment on?
Taking care of ourselves has to be our number one priority because no one else is going to take care of you.
Yeah.
And so in the arena of offense and forgiveness, if for me, I kind of have this, I guess, a little bit of a picture of a callus. That if someone keeps rubbing me wrong and I have pointed at it from different perspectives and in different ways, and they're not receiving my request for honoring boundaries, for me defining what respect is and what I require in the connection, then that wearing on my skin forms a callus, and I am less and less receptive or open or welcoming of their connection with me. Yeah. And that can take a lot of different forms. In my experience, it takes a lot for me to give somebody the cold shoulder.
Yeah, of course.
But once those boundaries have been crossed over and over and over again, I am just not interested in engaging.
Yeah. And I guess, I suppose I name that because I think there's an kind of this unspoken or sometimes explicitly named expectation or assumption that, especially if it's family or, you know, maybe a really close friend that you've had for a long, long time, that you're just supposed to tolerate like whatever, anything, you know, it's like you can never create distance and have it be okay. Like if it's a parent or maybe a sibling and I think that's not wise. You know, can we overdo it? Sure, whatever. But that in order for healthy boundaries and for genuine autonomy to exist, we do need, relationships don't always work out. People change or they don't change. And there's always things are shifting and evolving, and not everybody is going to be with us for our whole lifetime ride.
Well said. Well said. I had a friend from seminary. His name is Joe. He would kind of come in and out of my life. And then after my divorce, he got real intense and kept pushing and trying to get into my life in different ways. And I set a boundary with him, and he didn't respect it. He would, it's funny to say this, he would talk over me when we were texting. Like, do you know what that feels like? So,
I mean, I know what it feels like when I'm in a conversation with somebody.
Yeah. He was always one-upping was what it felt like.
Oh.
It was like he would get more intense in the way that he was responding, and also pushy from his perspective. And this is somebody that I had known for years, encouraged and supported and walked with. And I just got to a point where I was like, okay, please don't communicate with me for a little while. And he did it anyway. And I'm just like, man, let your yay be yay and your nay be nay. You know, when I say no, I mean no. And it takes me a long time to come to a place of no.
Right.
Because I am a perpetual yes.
Yeah.
in the deepest sense of the word, yes. And that was hard for me. And I think on the other side, I had moments where I was like, well, was I too hard? Was I too rigid? I blocked him on all social media. It was just, I'm done. If someone wants to be a part of my life, then I will engage with them unless they're getting pushy or unless they have an axe to grind. And he had an axe to grind. And I'm just like, I don't want to be around your grinding axe at all. It's noisy. It's throwing sparks. Like, this is just not my jam. Yeah. And I think the same way, so that was a longtime friend. I think the same way with family.
Yeah.
There are certain places that I won't go with certain family members because I'm not interested in having an argument. I pretty much know the mantra that they are putting forth, and I just don't want to go there because I'm either going to have to swallow what I really think and not be true to myself, or I'm going to be true to myself and say what I believe is true, and it's just not going to be productive in my experience. And so forgiveness is being okay with the discomfort sometimes of saying, I'm drawing a boundary and I still love you, and I'm also not in for dropping in deep with you. on certain topics.
Yeah.
And that could feel like, oh, that's not unconditional love for this person.
Sure.
And that's where boundaries get complicated and we get uncomfortable with it, when reality is that we have to start loving ourselves unconditionally. And then out of the overflow, out of the abundance of our internal experience, then we're able to share.
That's well said.
With others.
Yeah.
Me first.
Well, yeah. And
not in an egocentric way, but in again, this is, I'm seeing this in a number of different places right now in situations that I'm witnessing where no one else is going to take care of this person. Like they have to take care of themselves. That is why it's called self-care.
Yep.
And if they are always taking care of everybody else first, they're going to come to a point where they're burned out and not able to take care of themselves or anybody else.
Well, and self-care is not selfish at all. And self-love is not, just egotistical narcissism. It's a prerequisite for just, it's healthy. It's in the same way that you give your body food every day and you make sure that you are hydrated and you've got warm clothes on. We take care of ourselves in all kinds of really important ways, and it's interesting. I like to think of it works better for my nervous system when I frame it as responsibility. Like I am 100% responsible for my experience. Period. And I don't know, for me that is like, it gives me this empowered, like, yeah, that's right. Like I'm strong and I'm the one that's got to make sure that I'm taken care of. And yes, of course, I do rely on other people around me for connection and friendship and care, but I am the manager of my life and my experience, and that has to be a really healthy, clear, eyes wide open, everything in its place. Like sometimes I will shuffle physical objects in my home around and maybe tidy up and energetically move some things in and some things out, almost as an expression of also what's going on internally. And it's like I am cleaning house, and that, so that is another metaphor that kind of works, like in the same way that the nature of our home and our personal space and how clean it is and how organized it is, and also how okay it is to kind of be messy every once in a while. Like none of us are, like, it doesn't need to be rigid and perfect, but, and is it time to rearrange the furniture a little bit? Do I need to like put a new picture up on the wall? Do I need to put, my winter clothes away because spring is coming? Whatever the shift is, it's like that is also an expression of how I relate to my inner world too.
Our inner world is reflected by our outer,
very much so,
experience.
Yeah. And
my willingness, so this might be a barometer that I use at times, is how readily am I open to forgiving the other in my experience? Because that probably is a reflection of how I am willing or not willing to forgive myself.
Bravo. That's gold. Very well said.
It's true.
It is.
When I am not okay with myself, I want to blame everybody else. And so, being okay with withdrawal in the context of doing self-work, I am responsible for my experience, and so I need to do some TLC and some work in this area of whatever X, Y, and Z forgiveness comes into play. I also have recognized in my relationship to the word forgiveness, or the practice or the action of forgiveness, that there has been a moment from ego, moving from ego into heart. So this knowing in my head, this is the right thing for me to do, versus I can feel what is true. And so it's okay to know in my head, but it can just feel like, oh, this is just another fact at times.
Yeah.
Or this is the socially acceptable thing to do, versus this is actually going to have lasting benefit in all areas of my experience when I am engaging open-heartedly with acceptance and release of the pain that has been caused in my life.
Yeah, it makes me, I guess it makes me think of how my parents didn't genuinely understand what forgiveness really was. And I think, therefore a lot of adults walking around in the world don't have true experiences with forgiveness, either for themselves or for other people. I might understand. I think of how a little while ago, Brene Brown was kind of talking about, here's what it means to actually give a good apology. And that is an important skill, but it doesn't really speak to, that's just, okay, that's a very cognitive, okay, I'm going to follow the steps, I'm going to say the right words. But I think we all can feel when that is coming from a place of, it's an authentic expression versus I'm just saying the right words because that's the thing I'm supposed to do. Yeah, one feels incredibly different, and then obviously that has a huge impact on the relationship.
Something that has helped me is recognizing that resentment is stored in my body.
Yeah.
And in my meditation practice, in times out in nature, when I get still and when I listen, when I rest, and when I let go into just what is true in a moment, I will normally have something come up. And in my body, whether that's in my jaw, like a tight jaw, or tightness in my chest, or kind of an off feeling in my gut, it is a reminder that there is some resentment stored in my body somewhere, which is, we could describe it as frozen power. And the action of forgiveness is power reclaimed, not surrendered power anymore, and allowing our bodies to speak and be a part of the whole process of engaging life fully and in a holistic way.
Yeah, like our nervous system, like I think what I hear in that is your nervous system is going through a process of it's metabolizing the energy. And it's true, the way we do have to get kind of quiet enough and still, which I think is why meditation is just so freaking hard for most of us, because as soon as we, close our eyes and get still, immediately our psyche is going to serve up whatever is not resolved. And for some of us, that might be a whole lifetime of a backlog. And we just, it's uncomfortable. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the only way out is through. I mean, we can avoid it, but it doesn't ever just go away on its own magically.
It's going to come. I think it's also important to note that there are some times where I'll have a feeling like my body is telling me something, and it can be days or weeks where I am sitting with, okay, what is this telling me? I don't always know right off. Like it's not, okay, something's off. I'm going to go meditate for 10 minutes. And then immediately I know, oh,
Wouldn't that be great?
there it is. That's what the problem is. Okay, I can release this resentment.
Yeah.
It is taking time, and it does take time.
Yeah.
And that's why it is called practice
Yes. Yes.
and discipline.
Yes. And I think it maybe is important to name that there's like a, so the idea of homeostasis, how our body and our psyche and the outside world, it's always looking to maintain whatever normal is. And so I imagine anybody can think of a time when they've decided, okay, I'm going to set this goal. I'm going to do this thing I want to achieve. And maybe initially we have this burst of energy and but then very quickly we start to meet resistance from either the outside world or our inner world or both. And that is the pull of homeostasis. Like, no. We could just come back down to where you've been. No need to change. And that too is, it's not a sign that there's anything wrong. You have to learn how to be in relationship with that very natural. And then eventually, once you've practiced it for long enough, it becomes more difficult to not do the practice than it is to give in to the kind of the desire to just like, just don't work too hard. Don't push too hard. Just go back to the way things were. It was fine.
Which is the opposite of polarity.
No, good point. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes we fight against those poles.
Oh, very much so. Yeah. We want to stay right in the middle where it's nice and comfy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And life is pretty successful at showing us where those opportunities for growth and personal development are.
Yeah.
Carl Jung said, everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves.
Yep.
So sometimes there's a whole discussion that needs to take place if I am struggling with forgiveness, because what has hurt me sometimes can be a part of my personal growth and being stretched and moving. And one of the reframes that I have taken away from men's work is that the wounds that I have experienced and have needed to practice forgiveness, sometimes for years, to finally come to that place of being able to fully release and let go, is actually the place of my ultimate power and purpose in the world. It's through our wounds. And again, Carl Jung uses the archetype of the wounded healer.
Yeah.
The soul finds purpose. And this wasn't comforting in some of my darkest hours. So
Oof, no.
if you're in a dark hour trying to grasp forgiveness, please don't listen to this. But if you're on the other side and you have just a little bit of light and a little bit of perspective, it's helpful to see that our strength comes from the moments of weakness in our life. And it doesn't mean that we are irresponsible and create weakness and destruction and pain and suffering and more wounds.
We're like, oh no, but it's making more light.
Nope, that's not.
That's not what that means.
What he's talking about.
No.
In Jungian language, it's individuation. It's becoming whole. Yeah. It's seeing that I'm actually not split apart. Like there is a rejoining, a reconnection. So unforgiveness is something that will freeze us in a moment of fragmentation. And fragmentation that then, instead of it being light that helps us to connect in the greater world, it becomes darkness and we find ourselves hiding and cowering in the corner, trying to not be a victim.
Oh, yeah. Well, and I think you were talking about your relation with your power, like like that. In a sense, it's just when I've been in places like that, it feels like a black hole. Like I can't figure out how to move forward. I'm tired, or I'm just, my stomach is upset and everything's off or unclear. And so that coming back into right relationship in a place where I can then start to grow and heal. And
I can feel in the way that our friends last night at dinner asked for forgiveness, that process is their psyche metabolizing their experience in such a way that it's freeing them for the next big step in their life.
Yeah.
And they are poised and ready.
Oh, it's so beautiful.
In ways that they don't even realize or know yet that it is taking place. But just that simple act of cleaning up the past, acknowledging fault or guilt of what happened and what was true, and then seeing the release of the situation in one's experience is a beautiful, beautiful gift.
Do you consider betrayal categorically different in any kind of way than maybe other kinds of relational harms?
Well, you know my story, so.
I do. It was a question that ChatGPT recommended, and I was like, oh, that's interesting.
How do I... so as a human, we like to categorize, and we like to add
we do.
numeric value to this is higher or this is lower.
Yeah.
So, gotcha, ChatGPT. Forgiveness is forgiveness.
Yeah.
And growing up, one of the people that were held up within my Christian circles as the saint of forgiveness was a woman who I met right before she died. She was in her 90s. And she was in Nazi Germany in a concentration camp, and family members died. And she actively forgave and had the opportunity to look some of her captors and individuals who did horrible things to her and her family members in the eye and say, I forgive you, and genuinely forgave. And the grace is a word that I would use in a spiritual context. There is like when you know to do right, and you do it, like there is a energetic filling. There's a way that we can use the word God or divine or the universe comes into that moment in a creative way, and to whom, much is forgiven. There's a whole new world that opens up as we forgive and as we receive forgiveness. So I have had small offenses and I've had big offenses, and like forgiveness all for me is the same, and it's a part of the work and it's a part of unfolding. And maybe I would say that there are some things that are easier for me to forgive or to let go. And then there are other things that are a little bit more sticky, and that just has to do with my wounds.
Yeah, that makes
or
sense.
my childhood, or
Yep.
the lack of patterning or parenting or understanding or wisdom or experience. Like there's a lot of little things that come in to play. Is there a place in your life, my love, where you feel that you did not have the whole experience, like wholeness, like becoming complete in who you are until you crossed over that threshold of forgiveness?
Oh, sure. Yeah. My mom is what immediately comes to mind. And that's a new, like being able to, I experience it more as forgiveness is, it's actually more like I now have a lot of compassion for what her experience must have been like.
Mm-hmm.
Because of course, anybody who's showing up in that way, especially towards their own child, must be in an enormous amount of pain themselves. And so it's almost like the two arise almost simultaneously. In the compassion that I feel for her is just this implicit forgiveness for everything that happened between us. And now that doesn't mean that magically all of my trauma is healed, so to say. And I mean, those, like, there's a scar, and there always will be a scar. And there always will be, you know, maybe dynamics that play out between the two of us that it just is really tender. And it, because, you know, scars hurt. You push on them and they're just, they've got a tenderness and a fragility to them. And I would not be who I am without her. So speaking to what you were trying to say earlier about the wounding is where your gifts come from, in a sense. And so not to excuse what happened or to say that I would ever in a million years do the same to my own daughter, you know, or to anyone else. But yeah, it's a weird thing coming to a place of forgiveness and understanding and acceptance for a transgression that happened. And I think compassion is just the ultimate kind of water that I feel like I need to swim in when it comes to thinking about my past in all, you know, not just childhood, but school age years and the Catholic Church and, you know, all of it. And then even, you know, my experiences in corporate, it's like, how can I, or what plays out on the national stage, it's like, how can I bring compassion to every arena that I step in? Because there is a time and a place for anger and for feeling hurt and feeling your feels, whatever is there, and maybe taking distance and, you know, acting out and having your own shit show unfold because of what you've like that's all part of it. And I guess that is how we learn compassion. Like that's otherwise, you know, it's almost like you can't know day without night. I mean, like there's that polarity thing again. Yeah. There is no experience without the polarity. So, yeah. And so I imagine, like, is that what you're speaking to with the wholeness of experience? Yeah. Coming full circle.
Yeah.
Very much so.
As a Jesus-loving mystic, one of my favorite passages in the Christian scriptures is Christ on the cross, where the statement is made for God the Father to forgive because they don't know what they do.
Yeah.
And there are moments in my life where I have experienced my experience of being on a cross
Sure.
and feeling powerless, and there not being understanding of there's a resurrection on the other side of this. And I think there are times where our act of forgiveness can be a moment of faith and hope that there's still going to be 3 days in a tomb before the resurrection
Yeah.
with the Jesus story. And yet forgiveness was requested before the power and the light and the majesty of a resurrected teacher. And I hold that hope in my life. I think of a moment early on in our relationship where we were we had done some plant medicine together, and different things were coming up for both of us in our experience. And you had some things that were kind of being reconciled in past relationships, and then I started having some things come up as well. It was kind of this back and forth that we were reflecting, and there was forgiveness and releasing, and forgiveness was, the way I experienced it, it was almost contagious.
Oh.
It was like the people that you were releasing in your life, that was calling me into that space. And then it was vice versa. Like there was just this back and forth, so much so that there was something that I had held on to in my experience from divorce that I had intended to hold on to until the opportune time.
To exact some of your revenge, perhaps?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I had been counseled by my lawyers and also a family therapist that, this is going to be important that you hold on to all of this. And it was in that moment a time to let go. And sometimes forgiveness is just for myself.
Sure. Yeah.
My ex will never know what I let go.
Yeah.
And that is okay.
Yeah.
I didn't forgive. I didn't let that go for her benefit.
Yeah.
I let it go for mine.
Right.
And it's important for us to recognize that forgiveness is an inside job. And to be okay with maybe never being acknowledged that forgiveness has been granted. Because sometimes I want people to know. I want people to see. I want people to feel. I want people to
Of course.
acknowledge the work that I've done, and sometimes it's not appropriate.
Right. Yeah, it's interesting. Your question earlier, it brought to mind, there's a friend that I had we were really close for like 10 plus years. One of those, she lived in another state, but we talked on the phone almost every single day for hours at a time. Like we were just, I can feel internally the way it's still, there has not been forgiveness. It's just been in this limbo state internally within me for the last couple of years, ever since our friendship ended, which is good to notice. I'm feeling, yeah, it's time for that to shift. I think that, yeah. So, and it's funny how things play out that way sometimes. Like sometimes, I think it's important not to, Like, one, we don't want to drag our feet in a void, but we also don't want to like force things to move faster than they move. So in this moment, I'm just noticing this internal, I have a reflex because my inner talk is so critical, and it's actually not a voice. It's much more somatic. Like, it's more felt energetically and physically. And so I'm feeling this, oh my God, how could you possibly have been taking more than 2 years to come to any sort of resolution? Like, there's a blame thing that's going on, or a shame. And I think I'm verbalizing, like, that is okay. It is normal. Things unfold in their own time. And that's just a part of life. You know, some flowers take a whole week to bloom, and others bloom in an afternoon. So this one's just taking a little longer. Yeah.
As a spiritual person, one of the things that I also recognize and have experienced is that there are different planes in our world, and sometimes we tap into those, sometimes we don't. Sometimes it can be a wild ride.
The different planes, you mean?
Different planes. Yeah.
So can you just maybe say a little more what you mean? I know what you mean by that, but just, I want people to feel like they can follow where we're pointing to.
So in the Bible, it talks about there being 7 heavens, these different layers of the realm above. And in mythology, Greek mythology, it talks about the underworld and these worlds underneath. And so we could say that there are certain people who are able to tap into the layers above and the layers below and everything kind of in between. So kind of a spiritual, if you think of a spiritual world being overlaid onto our physical world, and there being maybe some more nuances than what is just meeting the eye, is how I would describe that. So when we're talking about forgiveness, there is an energetic or a spiritual, I would say, power or authority that we have in the heavenly realms. So Jesus's words come from Matthew chapter 16, and Jesus says, "Whatever you bind on earth will be bound in heaven, and whatever you loosen on earth will be loosened in heaven." So we can look at that from a number of different ways. As a mystic, I see this idea that there can be not just a release in me or a freedom in my heart experience or spiritual experience when I forgive somebody, but I can also release and free them spiritually in their world. So I'm not talking about placing curses. I'm talking about when there is an energetic transfer from one person to another. And when that energy coming from someone else to me is toxic, is mean, is not of light and love, I can allow them to stay bound by the energy that they have sent towards me by not forgiving them. Or I can release them and share love and light and freedom in a way that they may never be able to articulate or see or understand. But because of who I am and the way that I experience the world, I have recognized that there is freedom to be extended, that will change not just my life, but also theirs.
Does that tie into like Hindu and Buddhist teachings on karma?
I think we definitely tie some things together there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think it's important for me to say that forgiveness is a spiritual practice.
Yeah.
And it's also a mental practice. And it's also an emotional practice. And it's also a physical practice.
Yeah.
And it is something that I have to do. It's something I have to be intentional with.
Conscious of and directed. Yeah.
I've read many books. I've had many conversations. And I am still working on forgiveness.
Yeah, it is a deep well. Yeah. Yeah. It's interesting. I've never noticed this before, but it seems rather apparent in this moment how the health or the capacity I have to forgive myself or others is really closely linked to, what the Buddhists would call like right speech, right action, right thought. And so not right in a moralistic right and wrong, but more skillful skillful versus unskillful. And so what I'm noticing is how if my speech externally or internally is full of judgment and complaining and blame and criticism, it's almost like I'm throwing things in my way that I'm going to have to try to not trip over as I move forward. It's just, I'm just like shooting myself in my own foot, which is going to make forgiveness and compassion and, an experience of genuine peace all the more difficult. So it's like shaking up that glass of water and then, kind of wondering why I can't see clearly and why I can't find my way and why there's no genuine peace. Notice the connection before, but
it makes me think of the quote that I mentioned at the top of this episode. Resentment is like drinking poison and then hoping it will kill your enemies. And that's that's a direct quote from Nelson Mandela. He spent 27 years in prison during South African apartheid.
Yeah.
I mean, it just, his example and courage, I mean, just listen to his words. Forgiveness liberates the soul. It removes fear. That is why it is such a powerful weapon. Forgiveness as a weapon. Liberation, freedom, power.
What a beautiful expression of power that is. And it's interesting how when you have true and genuine forgiveness, there's nothing the other person can say or do that's gonna upset that. Like, and so I'm reflecting what true power really means, and so I'm recognizing how when I've been harmed, and it's just like, well, I'm gonna, we're angry and we're trying to defend, and that is when we are most fragile and most vulnerable, even though, our ego likes to think that that's how we're going to get our power back.
Sure.
but that his wisdom is so true. And I can just find that in my own experience and be like, oh, of course. I mean, when I'm in that kind of place of genuine forgiveness, all is well and nothing can upset that.
I think it's interesting to think about how there have been moments in my life where I have woken up to forgiveness.
What do you mean?
There was nothing else to do but forgive. It was a moment where I saw everything in a big picture and everything belonged. And so I didn't have to control the picture. I was just able to let be what needed to be in that moment.
I think I'm having a deeper appreciation for why forgiveness was so central to Jesus's message in Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's a powerful experience.
From a developmental perspective, when we can only see things through the lens of good and bad, forgiveness is the middle way. And it puts us in a place where we sit with the tension of our own good and bad, and also the good and bad of others. And so Jesus was being a little bit sneaky and setting people up in all love and ultimate cosmic generosity to bring, I believe, humanity to a place of embracing a depth of love that is not possible within the context of just good or bad categories, but having this middle way, third way of forgiveness.
Yep.
So in recap, within the dance of polarity of any connection, it can be with a partner, it can be with children, neighbors, community, at work, there will always be moments where there is a rupture.
Yeah.
And we will have probably millions of opportunities to practice forgiveness.
Yep.
And walking through the process of naming for ourselves what was wrong and what is true and where our boundaries are, and feeling what we need to feel in response to what happened, and being able to articulate and energetically put a boundary where it's appropriate so we know what's our responsibility and what's not our responsibility. And then should the opportunity arise when we have offended or hurt or caused a pain in someone's experience, to name that and ask for forgiveness. And that is a gift that we can give to ourselves and also our world today, in a time when there is a deep, I think, longing by the collective soul of the world for authentic forgiveness.
Yeah. And I imagine the deeper we feel the longing for it, the more it is something we can give ourselves. And it has to be. It's just like, can we just forgive and sit with and have compassion for our own experience? And I imagine that deeply changes how we see and relate to the outside world as well. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
It is good. It feels good to let folks know that we're not always happy-go-lucky, perfect, laughing with one another, having these deep and luxurious conversations that we're human too. And sometimes it's really painful.
Polarity makes room for fighting and forgiveness. And then fucking.
I was going to say, I'm thinking of your hospice patient who was talking about her favorite, what did she say? Her favorite part of, she loved to fight? Is that what she said?
Yeah, she's in her 90s and she loved to make up after a fight.
Yep. I'm on board with this. It is pretty great.
Thanks, y'all, for joining us today.
Yes, thank you.
We look forward to next time on
Remembering You.
Bye-bye for now.
Bye.